"Objection, Your Honor. She's just a child," the prosecutor shouted, his voice echoing across the silent courtroom. The judge leaned forward, adjusting her glasses as she looked at the small figure sitting nervously in the witness chair, 9-year-old Maya Parker. "Proceed, Maya," the judge said softly. Maya gripped her worn-out teddy bear, her hands trembling. "My dad didn't cause the accident," she said in a quiet but steady voice. "It was Sarah, and I can prove it." The courtroom froze. Every whisper, every movement stopped. Even the judge seemed momentarily taken aback. But before we dive deeper into what Maya revealed and how everything began, let's rewind to where it all started. 3 months earlier, the Parker home looked picture-perfect from the outside. Inside, however, things were far from peaceful. "Sarah, you don't need to keep buying her gifts," Liam Parker said, watching his new wife carefully place another wrapped present beside his daughter's cereal bowl. "I just want her to like me," Sarah replied, straightening the pink ribbon on the box. Her smile looked sweet, but it didn't reach her eyes. Moments later, little Maya walked into the kitchen, her hair messy from sleep. She noticed the gift but didn't smile. "Morning, Dad," she said softly, ignoring Sarah's presence. "Look what Sarah got you, sweetheart," Liam said, trying to sound cheerful. Maya opened the box without emotion. Inside was a shiny silver bracelet with dangling charms. "Thanks," she muttered, closing the box and placing it back on the table. Sarah's painted smile didn't fade, but her eyes hardened. "I thought you could wear it to the neighborhood barbecue today," she said, voice sugary sweet. "I don't like bracelets," Maya answered flatly. "They make noise when I read," Liam sighed. 3 months into his marriage, and the tension between his daughter and new wife hadn't softened one bit. He understood Maya still missed her late mother, Emma, who had passed away 3 years ago, but he wished she'd give Sarah a chance. Later that morning, Liam and Maya visited Emma's grave. Maya gently placed fresh yellow tulips, her mother's favorite, beside the headstone. "She liked these best," Maya whispered. "She did," Liam said softly. Then after a pause, he added, "Maya, I need to talk to you about Sarah." Before he could finish, a familiar voice interrupted. Sarah appeared, heels clicking against the damp grass, holding a single red rose. "I thought I'd give you two some time alone first," she said gently. Everything about her, her posture, her tone, her timing, seemed flawless. Too flawless, Maya thought. But soon Maya would realize that beneath Sarah's perfect smile, something far darker was hiding. The neighborhood barbecue was in full swing that afternoon. Laughter filled the air. The smell of grilled food drifted across the lawns and kids ran around chasing bubbles. It looked like a scene from a postcard, cheerful and flawless. "Here come the Parkers," called out Tom Reynolds, one of Liam's business partners, waving from the grill. "And the lovely new Mrs. Parker. How's married life treating you?" "Absolutely wonderful," Sarah beamed, looping her arm through Liam's. "I hit the jackpot with this one." Her laugh rang loud and confident, her posture perfect. To everyone else, Sarah was charming, maybe too charming. From the porch steps, little Maya watched her stepmother float from group to group, her tone changing ever so slightly with each person she spoke to, warm and bubbly with women, softer and flirtier with men. Her smile never faltered, but her voice told different stories to different people. Mrs. Wilson, their elderly neighbor, sat beside Maya and smiled. "Your stepmom is delightful, dear. You're lucky to have her." Maya didn't answer. She just nodded, her eyes never leaving Sarah. Something about her never felt right. Across the yard, Liam stood talking with Tom near the cooler, his expression heavy. "The bank called again," Tom whispered. "We need that contract signed by Friday or we're finished." "I know," Liam muttered. "I'll figure something out." Maya's ears perked up. Her dad had been working late every night, barely sleeping. She didn't understand everything, but she knew one thing. Her father was worried. 3 days later, Uncle Robert stopped by with a surprise gift for Maya. "I know it's not Christmas yet," he said, handing her a neatly wrapped box. "But I saw this and thought of you." Maya opened it to find a teddy bear wearing a tiny architect's helmet. "Press his paw," Robert said. When she did, the bear repeated his last sentence back to her in a cheerful tone. "It records voices," he explained. "Thought you might want to save messages from your dad when he's away." Maya hugged the bear tightly. "I love it," she whispered. That night, long after everyone was asleep, Maya crept downstairs for a glass of water. From the darkened living room, she heard Sarah's voice, low and urgent. "I can't talk long, Rick," she whispered into her phone. "No, he doesn't suspect anything. The insurance will clear. 2 million once everything goes according to plan." Maya froze on the staircase, heart pounding. Insurance. Plan, Rick? She slowly backed away and clutched her teddy bear. Her hands trembled as she pressed the paw to record her own whisper. "Sarah is talking to someone named Rick about money and insurance." Maya didn't know it yet, but that single recording would change everything. The next morning, sunlight poured through the windows of Maple Street Diner, where Liam and Maya shared their Saturday breakfast tradition. It was the one morning each week that belonged just to them: pancakes, hot chocolate, and quiet talk before the world got busy again. But this morning Maya wasn't touching her food. Her hands were wrapped tightly around her teddy bear, resting on the seat beside her. "Dad," she began softly, "I need to tell you something." Liam looked up from his pancakes. "What's up, sweetheart?" "I heard Sarah talking to someone last night," Maya said, voice trembling. "A man named Rick. She said something about money and insurance." Liam's fork paused in midair. He blinked, confused. "Probably work-related, honey. Sarah has clients named Rick, but she said $2 million when everything goes according to plan," Maya insisted. "She sounded secret." Liam sighed, his tone tightening. "Maya, I know you're still getting used to Sarah, but making up stories isn't fair. She loves you and she's trying." "I'm not making it up," Maya said, her small voice shaking. "That's enough," Liam said firmly. "Please, let's not talk about Sarah this way." Maya went quiet, hurt and frustrated. She picked at her pancakes but didn't eat. Her father didn't believe her, and deep down she knew Sarah would make sure he never did. 2 days later, Maya noticed a man in a baseball cap working under her father's car in the driveway. When she asked Sarah who he was, Sarah smiled easily. "Oh, that's just a mechanic, sweetheart. Routine maintenance," but Maya wasn't convinced. She'd never seen that man before, and she didn't remember her dad mentioning any appointment. That evening, dark clouds rolled in as the family got ready for dinner. "Kid's supposed to storm tonight," Liam said, checking the weather through the window. "Then let's take my car," Sarah suggested quickly. "The brakes on yours were making noise again yesterday." Liam frowned. "I'll have it looked at next week." Sarah's lips pressed together, but she said nothing more. Maya, sitting quietly in the back seat, clutched her teddy bear as rain began to pour. They were laughing about dessert choices when it happened. Liam pressed the brake approaching a curve, and the pedal sank to the floor. "The brakes aren't working," he shouted. Tires screeched. The car spun out of control, hydroplaning on the slick road. Sarah screamed. Maya grabbed her bear, and then came the deafening crash. Metal crumpled. Glass shattered. The world went black. When Maya opened her eyes, everything was flashing red and blue. Her dad's face was bleeding. Sarah was slumped forward, and strangers were shouting for help. 3 days later, Maya sat in a hospital waiting room, clutching her teddy bear. Her father was talking to doctors. Sarah was recovering in another room, her neck in a brace, her voice full of pain. But behind that mask of injury, Maya remembered the whisper, 2 million when everything goes according to plan. And soon Maya would realize the plan had only just begun. The hospital smelled like disinfectant and rain-soaked clothes. Maya sat beside her grandmother Eleanor, the teddy bear clutched tightly in her arms. Her father had gone to visit Sarah, who was recovering from her injuries. "She'll be okay," Liam had told her before stepping into Sarah's room. "Just wait here with Grandma, sweetheart." But Maya's stomach twisted. She remembered Sarah's secret call, the man in the baseball cap, and now the accident. She pressed the teddy bear's paw. The small light flickered. The recording of Sarah whispering about money and insurance was still there. Maya had proof. But who would listen to a 9-year-old? Moments later, the elevator doors opened. 2 men in suits stepped out, flashing badges. "I'm Detective Mark Collins," said the taller one. "We're looking for Liam Parker." Maya watched as they disappeared down the hall toward Sarah's room. 5 minutes later, her father emerged and in handcuffs. His face was pale, eyes wide with disbelief. "Liam Parker," the detective said, "you're under arrest for attempted murder and insurance fraud." "There's been a mistake," Liam protested, his voice breaking. "I would never hurt Sarah." "The evidence says otherwise," Collins replied. "The car's brake line was cut deliberately, and your fingerprints are on it." Maya froze as her father was led away. From down the hall she caught a glimpse of Sarah watching silently from her hospital doorway. No tears, no shock, just a faint, satisfied smirk. Her father hadn't believed her. Now nobody would. Later that night at Grandma Eleanor's house, Maya sat in the guest bedroom that once belonged to her late mother. The air smelled faintly of old lavender. Eleanor sat beside her. "Sweetheart, I know this is hard, but sometimes people we love do bad things." "Dad didn't do anything," Maya said firmly. "Sarah's lying." Eleanor sighed, brushing her granddaughter's hair. "I know you're scared, but the police have evidence, honey. We have to trust the system." Maya turned away, hugging her teddy bear. "I have proof, Grandma. I recorded Sarah talking to a man named Rick. That's enough, Maya." Eleanor's tone softened, but her words stung. "Please don't make up stories." "It won't help your father." Maya's lips trembled. No one believed her. Not her father, not even Grandma. That night she whispered into the teddy bear again, her voice breaking. "I'll find a way to prove it. I promise, Dad." But as the truth closed in, the real danger was only getting started. The sound of rain tapped gently against the window as Maya sat in her grandmother's old house, a place filled with antique furniture, family photos, and too many memories. It should have felt safe, but it didn't. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw her father in handcuffs, and Sarah's cold, satisfied smile. At the police station, Detective Mark Collins sat at his desk flipping through files. His partner, Detective Lisa Martinez, placed a steaming cup of coffee beside him. "Anything?" she asked. Collins shook his head. "The financial picture doesn't look good for Parker. Missed payments, overdue loans, and a $2 million insurance policy." Martinez sighed. "That's motive enough for most juries." "Maybe," Collins said slowly, "but something about this doesn't feel right." He glanced at the photo of Maya attached to the file. "The kid keeps saying her stepmother's lying." "Kids always say that," Martinez replied. "Remember the Miller case last year? That boy swore his dad was innocent too." Collins leaned back. "Yeah, but something about her eyes, Lisa. She believes what she's saying." Meanwhile, Maya tried her best to survive the days at her new school in Evanston. She didn't talk much, didn't play at recess, didn't finish her homework. She just kept the teddy bear close, the one that held her secret. After class, her teacher, Mrs. Peterson, called her over. "Maya, you've been quiet lately," she said kindly. "Is everything okay at home?" Maya looked down. "Everything's fine," she whispered, but everything was far from fine. That afternoon, the school called Eleanor to express concern. "She's withdrawn," the teacher said, barely speaking to anyone. When Eleanor got home, she found Maya sitting on the bed, staring out the window. "Your teacher says you're not talking much at school," Eleanor said softly. "I just want to see Dad," Maya replied. "Please, I need to tell him something important." Eleanor hesitated. "I don't know if that's a good idea right now." "Please, Grandma," Maya pleaded, tears filling her eyes. "He has to hear me." Eleanor saw the desperation in her face and nodded slowly. "All right, I'll arrange a visit." The next day, inside the Cook County Jail, Maya sat in a small visitation room separated from her father by a thick pane of glass. When Liam entered in his orange jumpsuit, he looked tired and defeated, but when he saw Maya, his face softened. He picked up the phone. "Hey, kiddo. I've missed you so much." "Dad," Maya said quickly, "I have to tell you something. About Sarah." Liam's smile faded. "Sweetheart, please. I don't want you worrying about this. It's for grown-ups to handle." "But Dad, I recorded her talking to a man named Rick. They said they'd make it look like an accident." Liam froze, his knuckles whitening around the phone. "Maya," he said gently but firmly, "I need you to focus on being a kid. Don't get involved, please. Promise me." Tears welled up in her eyes. "But nobody believes me." "I love you," Liam said softly. "Everything will be okay." The guard's voice interrupted. "Time's up." As Maya walked away, her father's words echoed in her head. "Don't get involved." But she knew she couldn't stay silent anymore. And if no one would listen to the truth, Maya would find someone who would. Gray clouds hung low over Evanston the next morning as Maya Parker clutched her backpack and walked beside Eleanor toward the front doors of Lakeside Elementary School. It was her first full day since everything happened, and nothing about it felt normal. Kids laughed in the hallways, lockers slammed, pencils clattered. All sounds that once felt ordinary now seemed far away. At the front office, the secretary smiled kindly. "Good morning, Mrs. Thompson. You must be Maya." Eleanor nodded. "She's starting 5th grade today." The secretary's smile wavered just slightly when she recognized the name. The story had been all over the news. "Welcome to Lakeside, sweetheart," she said gently. "Before class, why don't you meet with our school counselor? It might help to talk." 10 minutes later, Maya sat in a cozy office filled with plants, children's drawings, and sunlight filtering through lace curtains. A woman with kind eyes and a soft blue cardigan entered the room. "Hello, Maya, I'm Dr. Chen," she said, sitting across from her. "You can call me Jasmine if you like." Maya didn't answer. She just stared at the floor, her teddy bear resting in her lap. Dr. Chen's voice was calm and gentle. "You've been through a lot. You don't have to talk if you're not ready. Everyone always said that, you don't have to talk." But when she did talk, no one ever listened. After a long pause, Maya finally whispered, "My dad didn't hurt Sarah." Dr. Chen nodded slowly. "That must be hard, knowing something important but feeling like no one believes you." Maya looked up for the first time. There was no pity in Dr. Chen's eyes, just quiet understanding. Encouraged, Maya continued, "Sarah's lying. She planned the accident with a man named Rick." Dr. Chen didn't interrupt. She simply listened, really listened, as Maya explained everything she'd overheard. The secret phone call, the man in the baseball cap, the crash, the arrest. Finally, Maya reached into her backpack and pulled out the teddy bear. "My uncle gave me this. It can record things. I recorded Sarah talking to Rick about the insurance." Dr. Chen's breath caught, but she kept her expression calm. "Can I hear it?" she asked gently. Maya nodded and pressed the bear's paw. Sarah's voice filled the quiet room. "I know we need the money soon. Rick, the insurance is active. 2 million once everything goes according to plan." When it ended, silence hung in the air. Dr. Chen sat back, processing what she had just heard. The child wasn't making this up. This little girl might be holding evidence that could free her father. "Maya," she said carefully, "this is very serious. We'll need to handle it the right way, to make sure it helps your dad." Maya's eyes widened. "You believe me?" Dr. Chen smiled softly. "I believe you recorded this conversation, and that what you heard matters." For the first time in weeks, Maya felt hope. Someone finally believed her. But the truth Maya carried was powerful and dangerous, and soon it would shake the courtroom to its core. Dr. Jasmine Chen sat at her desk long after the school day ended, the teddy bear resting silently in front of her. The faint hum of the heating system was the only sound in the empty office. She'd replayed the recording twice. Each time the same words chilled her spine. "The insurance is active. 2 million when everything goes according to plan." It wasn't a child's story. It was a confession. But Dr. Chen also knew she was standing on delicate ground. Recordings made without consent were rarely admissible in Illinois. Yet how could she ignore a piece of evidence that could prove an innocent man's life had been destroyed? She picked up the phone and called her old friend Alex, a family lawyer. "Hypothetically," she began, "if a child came to me with a recording that could prove a crime, what's the right thing to do?" On the other end, Alex hesitated. "That's tricky. If it contains evidence of a crime, the law makes exceptions. But you'll need to contact the father's attorney. Just protect the child. Make sure she's not dragged into court without preparation." Dr. Chen nodded. "Thanks, Alex, I'll handle it carefully." When she hung up, she looked again at the teddy bear. This little toy had done what the adults had failed to tell the truth. That evening, she called Barbara Reynolds, the defense attorney assigned to Liam Parker's case. "Ms. Reynolds, this is Dr. Jasmine Chen. I'm calling about your client's daughter, Maya." Barbara's tone shifted immediately. "Is Maya all right?" "She's fine," Dr. Chen said. "But she's shared something that could change everything about your case. Something you need to hear in person." 20 minutes later, the two women sat across from each other in a small coffee shop near the school. Dr. Chen placed the teddy bear on the table between them. "She recorded her stepmother," she explained quietly. "Listen." She pressed the paw, and again Sarah's voice came through. 2 million when everything goes according to plan. I know how to make it look like an accident." When the message ended, Barbara exhaled sharply, her hand over her mouth. This could exonerate Liam Parker," she said. "It's exactly what we've been missing." "There's a problem," Dr. Chen said. It was recorded secretly, and Maya is only 9. I don't want her dragged into a courtroom if we can avoid it. Barbara nodded. We'll do everything possible to protect her. But this recording, while it could save her father. They both sat in silence for a moment, the teddy bear between them, a silent witness holding the truth. Meanwhile, across town, Sarah Bennett Parker sat in her real estate office, a neck brace still around her neck for sympathy's sake. Her co-worker brought her coffee and smiled kindly. You're a strong woman, Sarah. I don't know how you're holding up. Sarah sighed dramatically. One day at a time. When her colleague left, she opened her desk drawer and pulled out glossy brochures, beach villas in Costa Rica and Panama. Her new life was waiting, one without police, guilt, or Liam Parker. She smiled faintly and whispered to herself, everything's going according to plan. But while Sarah dreamed of paradise, the walls around her were already beginning to close in. Back at her quiet home office, attorney Barbara Reynolds couldn't stop thinking about the voice in that recording. Sarah's calm, confident tone, the ease with which she spoke about making it look like an accident. It was chilling. And if it was real, it meant Liam Parker was sitting in jail for a crime he didn't commit. Barbara needed proof that could back up the recording, something solid that would hold up in court. 2 days later, she drove to Highland Park, to the quiet street where the Parkers lived. She knocked on the door of a blue house across the road. An elderly man with thick glasses opened it. Mr. Thomas Wilson, she asked. That's me, he said. You must be the lawyer. Come in. Barbara followed him into a cozy living room lined with books and framed photos. I knew Liam, Thomas said as he sat in his rocking chair. Good man. Always helped me shovel snow in winter. Can't believe what they're saying about him. Mr. Wilson, Barbara said gently, did you see anything unusual around the time of the accident? The old man thought for a moment. Well, 2 days before it happened, there was someone working on Liam's car. I saw him from my porch. Thought it was a mechanic. Barbara leaned forward. Can you describe him? Not well, had a baseball cap on. Shorter than Liam, darker hair. Spent about 20 minutes under the hood. And you're sure it wasn't Liam himself? Thomas shook his head. Liam was at work. His pickup truck was gone that day. Barbara's heart quickened. Did you notice anything else? Maybe something he dropped? Thomas's eyes brightened. Actually, yes. He shuffled to the kitchen, rummaged through a drawer, and returned holding an old business card. Found this on the driveway after that man left. I forgot all about it until now. Barbara took it and read aloud. Davis Auto Repair, Rick Davis, owner, Skokie, Illinois. The name hit her like a jolt. Rick, the same name from the recording. That night, Barbara called her private investigator. Run a full background check on a Rick Davis, mechanic in Skokie. I need everything. Finances, phone records, travel history, and any connection to Sarah Bennett Parker. Within hours, the report came back, and it painted a clear, ugly picture. Rick Davis's shop was failing. He was months behind on rent, deep in debt, and had been in frequent contact with Sarah before her marriage to Liam. And one more thing, he'd just booked a one-way flight to Panama. Leaving in 4 days, Barbara's pulse quickened. If he was running, that meant he knew the truth was closing in. Meanwhile, back at Lakeside Elementary, Dr. Chen met with Maya again. She explained gently, the judge will need to hear what you recorded, Maya. You may have to tell your story in court. Maya hesitated. Will Sarah be there? Yes, Dr. Chen said softly, but you won't be alone. Your dad's lawyer and I will both be there. Maya looked down at her teddy bear, her small voice steady. Then I'll do it. I have to help my dad. As Maya prepared to face the courtroom, another person was preparing to run, and their fates were about to collide. The Cook County Courthouse buzzed with noise. Reporters, lawyers, flashing cameras and whispers that traveled faster than the news itself. Inside, the air felt heavy with tension. Judge Margaret Wilson, a woman known for her strict fairness, entered the courtroom. Court is now in session, she announced. The state of Illinois versus Liam Parker. Liam sat at the defense table beside Barbara Reynolds, his hands clasped, eyes hollow. Across from him sat Sarah Bennett Parker, in a blue dress and her signature neck brace, the very picture of a perfect victim. Barbara leaned close and whispered, Stay calm. We're ready. The prosecution went first. Ladies and gentlemen, said District Attorney Philip Green, this is a case about greed. The evidence will show that Liam Parker, desperate for money, cut the brakes on his own car to kill his wife and collect her insurance money. Every juror turned to look at Liam. His jaw tightened. When it was Barbara's turn, she stood slowly, her tone steady and confident. The prosecution has told you a story about a desperate man, but they've missed the truth of the real story. Mr. Parker didn't plan a murder. He was the victim of one. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Barbara continued. Someone else tampered with that car. Someone who had everything to gain from his downfall. Her eyes briefly flicked toward Sarah. That afternoon, Sarah Bennett Parker was called to the stand. She walked carefully, playing the part of the injured spouse. Mrs. Parker, the prosecutor began, how would you describe your marriage? Sarah's eyes filled with practiced tears. At first it was perfect. But Liam, he changed. He was angry, stressed about money. I begged him to fix the brakes, but he kept putting it off. And on the night of the accident? Sarah dabbed her eyes. We were driving to dinner. It was raining. He tried to stop, but the brakes failed. I thought I was going to die. Her voice cracked, perfectly timed. Several jurors nodded sympathetically. Then it was Barbara's turn to cross-examine. Mrs. Parker, she began, her tone polite but sharp. You say you asked your husband to fix the brakes several times, yet our records show you called Davis Auto Repair 3 times that same week. Why? Sarah blinked. I wanted to compare prices. Really? Barbara stepped closer. And who owns Davis Auto Repair? Sarah hesitated. I don't remember. Barbara's voice hardened. You don't remember Rick Davis? The man you spoke to regularly before your marriage to Liam Parker? The courtroom went silent. I don't know anyone named Rick Davis, Sarah said quickly, her voice tight. Barbara raised a photo from her file, a still frame from surveillance footage. It showed Sarah and Rick Davis entering a hotel together. Then how do you explain this? Sarah's face went pale. Judge Wilson's gavel struck. Order in the court! Barbara turned to the judge. Your Honor, we intend to call a final witness, one whose testimony will make the truth clear. She looked toward the back of the courtroom, where a small figure waited with a teddy bear in her lap. The next witness wasn't a lawyer, a detective, or an expert. It was a 9-year-old girl with a recording that could expose everything. The courtroom fell into an uneasy silence as Maya Parker was escorted to the witness stand. Her small hands clutched the teddy bear tightly, the same bear that had been her secret keeper for weeks. Judge Wilson looked at her gently. Maya, do you understand that you're here to tell the truth? Maya nodded, her voice soft but steady. Yes, Your Honor. Good, the judge said kindly. You may proceed. Barbara Reynolds stepped closer. Maya, can you tell the court who you live with? My grandma, Maya answered. My dad is in jail. And why is he in jail? Because everyone thinks he hurt Sarah, Maya said, her voice trembling slightly. But he didn't, Barbara smiled softly. Can you tell us why you believe that? Maya took a deep breath. Because I heard Sarah talking to someone named Rick. She said something about insurance and a plan. I didn't understand it then, but I recorded it. The room erupted in whispers. The judge raised her gavel. Quiet in the court. Barbara nodded toward the bailiff, who took the teddy bear carefully and connected a small recorder to the courtroom speakers. A faint hiss filled the air, then a voice. I know we need the money soon, Rick. The insurance is active. $2 million once everything goes according to plan. Sarah's face drained of color. Gasps rippled through the courtroom like a wave. He doesn't suspect anything, the recording continued. Once it happens, we're free. When the playback ended, silence hung heavy in the air. Even the judge seemed momentarily speechless. Barbara turned toward Sarah. Mrs. Parker, is that your voice? Sarah opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Mrs. Parker. Barbara pressed, her tone calm but cutting. I don't remember saying that, Sarah stammered. Barbara held up the phone records. Perhaps this will help refresh your memory. On the night of that call, you spoke to Rick Davis for 8 minutes. Do you deny that? Sarah looked toward her lawyer, panic flashing in her eyes. I was talking about a real estate deal, she blurted out. Barbara's eyebrow lifted. A deal that involved cutting your husband's brakes? The room exploded again with murmurs. Sarah stood abruptly. This is ridiculous. She's just a child. She doesn't know what she heard. But Judge Wilson's gavel came down hard. Mrs. Parker, sit down. Maya looked toward her dad, who sat frozen, tears glistening in his eyes. She gave him a small, brave smile. When the session ended, the judge called for a recess. The prosecutors huddled together, their confidence shaken. Detective Collins leaned over to Barbara and whispered, "We'll find Rick Davis. If that recording is real, he won't get far." Barbara nodded. "Do it fast. Sarah's starting to crack, and she knows her time's running out." But while the courtroom erupted with whispers of guilt, miles away, Rick Davis was already on the move, and not everyone would make it to the next hearing alive. The storm outside mirrored the chaos inside Cook County Courthouse that afternoon. Rain lashed against the windows as news spread like wildfire. The stepmother's recording, the mysterious Rick, and the possibility that Liam Parker had been framed. Detective Mark Collins stood near the door, phone pressed to his ear. "Yeah, this is Collins. We've got a confirmed name, Rick Davis, mechanic Skokie. Check every airport and highway exit." "He's planning to run," the dispatcher replied. "We've got something, a one-way flight to Panama booked under Richard D. Harper, leaving in 2 hours. "Harper, huh?" Collins muttered. "He's already using aliases. Get units to O'Hare now." Meanwhile, back in her quiet office, Sarah Bennett Parker was unraveling fast. Her once perfect hair was disheveled, her makeup smudged. She paced the floor, her phone pressed tightly against her ear. "Rick, what's going on? Why haven't you answered my calls?" On the other end, his voice was low and angry. "You didn't tell me you left evidence, Sarah. That kid recorded you." "I didn't know," she hissed. "What do we do now?" Rick's voice was cold. "We? There's no we anymore. I'm done. You got greedy and now you're on your own." The line went dead. Sarah's hand shook. She hurled the phone across the room. It shattered against the wall. At that exact moment, Detective Collins and Officer Martinez arrived at O'Hare Airport. They pushed through crowds, scanning faces. Then they saw him. A man in a dark jacket, baseball cap pulled low, ticket in hand, heading for the international gates. "Rick Davis," Collins shouted. Rick froze for a second, then bolted. Security alarms blared as he raced down the corridor, knocking over a traveler's suitcase. Collins and Martinez chased him through the concourse. "Stop, police!" Rick sprinted toward a maintenance exit, but a uniformed guard stepped out just in time. Rick collided with him and went down hard. As Collins cuffed him, the detective leaned close. "You picked the wrong mechanic, pal." Rick glared up at him, breathing heavily. "You don't get it. She made me do it." "It was her idea." Collins nodded grimly. "Then you won't mind repeating that?" Under oath. The next morning, the news hit every major outlet. Breaking news: Rick Davis arrested, confirms stepwife's role in brake tampering case. Sarah watched it unfold from her living room, the color draining from her face. Moments later, red and blue lights filled her window. "Sarah Bennett Parker," came the voice at the door. "You're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder and insurance fraud." As she was led away in handcuffs, reporters shouted questions. Cameras flashed. But Sarah said nothing. Her perfect mask had finally shattered. At the same time, in her grandmother's kitchen, Maya sat watching the same news report. Her small fingers tightened around the teddy bear. Eleanor placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You did it, sweetheart. You told the truth." Maya nodded, a tear rolling down her cheek. "I just wanted my dad back." And soon Maya would get exactly that, but not before one final twist no one saw coming. 2 weeks later, the grey walls of Cook County Jail finally gave way to sunlight. The heavy metal doors slid open, and Liam Parker stepped out, free for the first time in months. Waiting by the gate were Barbara Reynolds, Detective Collins, and one small girl with tears in her eyes and a teddy bear in her arms. "Dad!" Maya cried, running toward him. Liam dropped to his knees just in time to catch her. He held her tight, burying his face in her hair as she sobbed against his chest. "I missed you so much," he whispered. "I told everyone you didn't do it," Maya said through her tears. "And they finally listened." Liam smiled, his voice trembling. "You saved me, Maya. You saved us both." Even Detective Collins, usually stone-faced, blinked a few times and cleared his throat. Barbara smiled softly. "Let's get you both home." Later that evening, the Parker home was quiet again, but it was a different kind of quiet. The kind that felt safe. Maya sat on the couch wrapped in a blanket as her father cooked spaghetti, her favorite. The smell filled the house, reminding her of the days before everything fell apart. On the counter sat a small envelope marked Evidence Released. Inside was the teddy bear, cleaned, repaired, and no longer holding the burden of secrets. Liam picked it up, smiling faintly. "I guess we owe this little guy a medal." Maya giggled. "Uncle Robert's gift saved your life." "Seems like he knew what he was doing," Liam said. Across town, Sarah Bennett Parker sat in an orange jumpsuit in a holding cell, her hair unkempt, her charm gone. Through the small window, she could see the same sky she used to admire from her fancy home. But this time there was no escape plan. No Rick, no lies, no perfect smile to hide behind. In the corner of the cell, she whispered to herself, it was supposed to be perfect. But no one was listening anymore. A week later, Dr. Chen visited Maya at school. "I just wanted to say," she smiled, "you were incredibly brave. Not many adults could have done what you did." Maya smiled shyly. "I was scared." Dr. Chen nodded. "Courage isn't about not being scared. It's about doing the right thing even when you are." Maya hugged her. "Thank you for believing me." "Always," Dr. Chen said warmly. That night, Maya and Liam stood outside watching the stars. The breeze was cool, the air calm. "Mom used to say the brightest stars are the ones that never fade," Maya whispered. Liam looked at her, smiling softly. "She'd be proud of you, kiddo." Maya leaned against him, eyes on the sky. For the first time in a long while, everything felt right. The lies were gone. The truth had won. And the little girl who no one believed had changed everything. Because sometimes even the smallest voice can uncover the biggest lies. If this story moved you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more real-life inspired stories of truth, courage, and justice. Tell us in the comments, what did you feel when Maya finally proved the truth? Your support helps us share more stories that remind the world good people still win.